So we're just driving through this sign now, and it's quite common in around Kyiv. They've updated the signs, but that says Russian warship off in Ukrainian. You can't beat them. So hi, we're Vans Without Borders. We're 3 British lads. John, say hi. Woo! Ricky, say hi.
Hey!
So we're 3 British lads who've come over to try and help with the war effort in Ukraine, and you know, we've done some pretty full-on stuff so far. We managed to pioneer a route from Lviv to Kiev, and so for those who don't know, Lviv's quite near the Polish border and Kiev's about halfway through Ukraine. We've managed to pioneer that route for international aid. Before, most international aid organisations were dropping their supplies at Lviv and leaving it to domestic transport networks and domestic charities to try and transport that to Kiev, which was majorly problematic because there was a major backlog of supplies. So what we've done now is we've shown the international charities that it is safe to travel from Lviv to Kiev. They were concerned because they'd heard it was still being shelled, but we received our own information that it has largely been peaceful for the last week. So we were able to come here, drive across, navigate and pioneer new routes, so finding new routes around bombed out bridges, and we've been able to send that information back, and now more people are coming and aid's starting now to reach Kiev. Our thing is done, mate, to be honest. A large amount of their countryside and their rural communities have been cut off from water, electric, even, you know, basic services like shops and the delivery of goods. So we've been essential in trying to open up these routes again and ensure those in need get the support that they require to sustain themselves and survive this dreadful conflict. This is what some of the road blockades look like as well. So they put these down to slow down the traffic. There's a mixture of manned ones and unmanned ones. They don't like you filming the manned ones, and they can take your phone off you and smash your phone if you are, because Ukrainian soldiers have died because of people uploading clips on social media and exposing their locations. We haven't seen, though, a single UNICEF or Red Cross vehicle while we've been here. We've been told there's some in Lviv, but none in Kiev, and certainly none in the villages around Kiev, which we've started to help supply as well. So we were some of the first to reach villages outside of Bucha, where the Russians massacred around 200 people. Those villages, because they weren't talked about in the press, they didn't receive a lot of funding, and you know, Bucha is starting to return to normal, but there's not a huge civilian population there at the moment. But these other smaller villages, less well-known villages, they have the vast majority of their population is still there. They've not evacuated. They're quite simple people in terms of their farmers, they're workers on the land. They don't want to abandon their property because it's all they've ever known. And we're talking about elderly people here, we're talking about disabled people, and they're completely cut off without supplies. So currently they're just relying on what they've been able to stockpile over the harvest. Well, I guess last year they've not been able to harvest this year yet. And so we were able to go with a local church and a military escort to these villages to drop off supplies and essentials for them, and actually pioneer that for locals in Kiev to start going out there as well. We were one of the first to do that. And from there, we've again made a huge impact in that regard. This is all of the wreckage they've managed to scrape up from Bucha and Irpin following the rocket attack. So I think it's a blend of Russian tanks and civilian vehicles. You can see the mortar shells on there. At the moment, it smells very strange. I've not smelled anything like that before, so I'm not sure what's in there. But you can see there's like a tank turret there with the gun. Tanks there. Cars. Again, just that stench again. It's tragic, really. You'd see it's all burnt to a crisp. It shows the intensity of all the rockets. We were also hosted by a local colonel who very kindly had dinner with us and invited us into a base to have a look around so we could understand a little bit more about the Ukrainian army and their role, both in the humanitarian side and also defending the local area. And he's told us he's happy to help us arrange the right paperwork for people coming into the country. So we're now able to get lorries from Britain coming in who might not have had the correct documents before. And again, it's a lot of what we've done is a learning curve. We didn't realise you needed letters to come into the country until we were in Krakow, and so now we've been able to streamline the process for drivers from Britain if they are able to come over. And, it is perfectly safe coming over. A lot of the time British drivers stop in Krakow, and that's not particularly helpful either, because you create the same backlog you create at Lviv, where you have to rely on other organisations to then transport that into Ukraine. Now, as we've said, a lot of the aid isn't reaching those in genuine need. So hopefully with what we've done, it is going to start changing things, and we have been told more drivers are now coming direct to Kyiv, if not further east, after what we're doing over the next couple of days. When we've been out delivering aid around Kyiv, we've had to have had a military escort. We were with priests, and the priests were wearing body armour, we were wearing body armour, and we're told that Russian saboteurs are targeting humanitarian workers. So Russians are trying to capture British and American volunteers at the moment, but they're also trying to kill us to dissuade more people from coming and giving out supplies. But it is quite jarring when you're out there. Again, you do, even though you're clad in your body armour, you do forget about the danger when you're handing out stuff and you're just focusing on helping people, but the threat is very much still there. The priest told us that actually there was a drunk priest in Kyiv who died a couple of weeks ago after he got drunk and stumbled around a field and trod on a landmine, which is, it makes it hit home a little bit about there are dangers to this. But what we're doing is finding safe, sensible routes which are sourced by local intel, which will protect those who are trying to help and ensure aid is being delivered. There's no point being blasé, there's no point being a hero because you fail on your job. What you're doing is you're finding the safe routes from A to B so aid can be supplied to those in need. We've also managed to supply a major soup kitchen in Kyiv, which feeds between 100 to 200 elderly people a day. We initially supplied it with supplies from Lviv's Children's Hospital, as that's been turned into sort of a warehouse as well as a functioning hospital for supplies to go eastwards. So we've taken some initial supplies from there, and then we've also, after we managed to show our work to donors back in the UK who are a bit sceptical about donating to some of the larger organisations, because as we said, we haven't seen them actually do anything over here, have funded us now to go and start distributing to local organisations like that. We're starting to find trustworthy people where UK donors can send their funds to and make sure it actually reaches the people of Ukraine who are in need. Before, we were hearing stories about organisations sending money to people on, say, the Romanian border or the Slovakian border, and the money was being siphoned off into other things. But we've now established contacts on the ground who are going to be spending that money properly. So look at this, you can see where someone's clearly been driving, shots through the driving seat, shots through the main screen as you're coming round. Just devastating. And then in the back, it looks like there's refugees fleeing or something. You can see they've got their stuff in the back here. Very sad.
So I may separate eatable from